recently attended the UK Games Expo and it was my first time, and like all first times, you kind of hope it's going to blow your mind, leave your legs shaking and have a lasting impact. Did it do all of those things? Yes, it did. My mind was blown by the sheer volume of games available, and my legs were shaking because the walk from the North Car Park to the NEC is probably inspired by that song by the Proclaimers, and I would walk 500. Anyway, it left a lasting impact on my wallet. I planned that. Please laugh. Let's go. What even is it? So in short, it's the place to be if you're into tabletop games. You've got entire halls packed with everything from big name publishers to indie designers showing off their latest stuff. There's loads to check out. RPGs, accessories, game previews, you name it. You can try out unreleased games, play ones you've just picked up, and there's always something going on, like talks, tournaments, demos, loads of cool stuff. I think a really popular question, though, is it really busy? And the simple answer is yes. This year, over 72,000 games fans from every imaginable walk of life descended on the NEC like it was crazy busy, right? I attended Friday and Saturday. Saturday was like, you know, in The Walking Dead, when they have no other option but to cover themselves in flesh to blend in with the horde, just to make it through. Same thing. What does it look like though in real life? I'm going to share some clips with you just so you can see and get a feel for it. You can get outside whenever you want or spend some time, and it was Hall 4 that was slightly quieter. There's an open gaming area there if you're keen to wander the stalls, try out some games, maybe part ways with your hard-earned cash in exchange for shiny things you definitely don't need but will absolutely convince yourself that you do. Then brace yourself. You'll be navigating through a sea of people. Think Glastonbury, but with fewer wellies. And more dice. Now, for some people, that's a deal breaker, and honestly, that's absolutely fair enough. I totally get it. There are moments when I would much rather be curled up in a quiet room with a cup of tea, zero human interaction. Okay, that's most of the time. But it's like Marmite. Some thrive on the buzz, others, they just want it to end yesterday. So if the crowds aren't for you, then it can feel a bit much. If you're crowd cautious and you still want to dip in the proverbial toe, top tips. I would probably rock up like an hour or so after the doors open, say from like 10 to 11 a.m. onwards. I did this on the Saturday, much quieter. Before that, I experienced it on the Friday. It's kind of like the opening scene again of an apocalypse film, but with lanyards and tote bags. Thousands of just keen, nerdy beans queuing outside each hall, buzzing with cans of monsters and early morning optimism and the only deodorant spray of the day. I also noticed that it did tend to quieten down a little bit later on in the day, especially after 3 p.m. People are bored by then. Well, not bored, but they're probably tired by then. Their wallets are significantly lighter and their arms are full of board games they definitely didn't plan to buy. So if you do fancy a gentler experience, not a hard one, aim for the post-launch collapse window. Let's talk about shopping, because if there's one thing the UKGE loves, it's helping you part ways with your money in the most delightful way possible. Now, full disclosure, most of the stuff you'll see on sale, you will find it online, but there is no joy in clicking add to basket when you could be living your best board game goblin life, rifling through shelves like you're on an episode of Supermarket Sweep, but for nerds. There's just something fun about seeing all the shiny boxes in person. You get to pick them up, you get to shake them, gently, and then chat with people selling them, and maybe find a game that you didn't even know you needed in your life. It's kind of like going to IKEA and then coming home with a new wardrobe and a cactus that you have no business buying, but now it's got a name and a spot on your windowsill and its own bedtime Spotify playlist. I digress. Something that was really cool was the bring and buy area. It's kind of like a car boot sale for board games. You can check in your own games to sell. It's ideal if your shelves at home are groaning, or rummage through other people's pre-loved games for a bargain. It's like chaotic, but it's also thrilling, like Vinted, but in person. Now, it's definitely worth a look at, and if you can snag a great deal, but I wouldn't come just for that. That's what she said. The real fun of the UKGE is the whole experience, trying out new games, watching people in cosplay argue over dice rolls, discovering games you never knew existed, and somehow ended up with them all in your car. It's a vibe. This video, it's about my experience of UKGE, so I'm not going to go into all of the things I bought. If you are interested though, just drop a comment. If there's enough interest, of course I'll do as I'm told and that I will share what I bought. If not, I'll just take a picture and post it instead. Win-win. Playing the games, let's be honest, we don't trek all the way to UKGE to stare longingly at boxes in wrapping. We're there because we love playing games. And the good news is, You can absolutely do that. A lot. There's this massive open gaming area. I mentioned it takes up most of Hall 4. I'm talking rows upon rows of tables and chairs just waiting for you to sit down and unleash your inner dice goblin. You can bring your own games. You can crack open something you just impulse bought an hour ago, or you can even borrow one. They've got an on-site board game library. It's basically like Hogwarts for gamers, but just minus the moving staircases and questionable ethics. Looking at you, J.K. Rowling. For people like me who don't get many gaming conventions fall upon them each year, and it's hard to find people in real life to play with, this bit was just pure magic. It's a chance to just game, play something new, and just enjoy a moment of relative peace. It does get busy, but compared to the hustle and the bustle of the main halls, it's positively spa-like. It's kind of like if the spa had meeples and rule books. And don't worry if you went alone. I did, and I survived. There's loads of demos happening across the show floor. Honestly, at any given moment, you're probably like 30 feet away from someone enthusiastically ready to teach you their new game. Think of it kind of like speed dating, but with dice and far less awkward small talk. Yeah, I really encourage you to jump in, try a demo or two. You'll meet some brilliant people. Seriously, the community is top-notch. You might just discover a hidden gem, the kind of game you never would normally pick up, but you end up loving more than your nan's roast potatoes. I'm trying to think of things that people really love. Granny's roast is probably at the top. Right, the UKGE. It's not just about browsing shiny new games or hunting down bargains. There's a whole, smorgasbord of events that you can sign up for, and it's gloriously nerdy, exactly as you'd hope for it to be. Fancy battling it out, kind of like in a Lorcana or Catan tournament? You're sorted. If you want to learn how to create your own RPG, like a storytelling wizard or witch, they've got workshops for that. There's even live podcast recordings, mega games, or watching a bunch of bards belt out tunes like they're headlining Download Festival. You're in luck. And it gets better. You can sit down for a proper RPG session. No need to bring your own dice hoard, paint a miniature, you can even take it home. And I promise I'm not making this up. You can learn how to fight and build a lightsaber, an actual lightsaber. You can live out your inner Jedi fantasy. No force powers required. Dramatic cloak swishing is encouraged, but it is what it is. There's honestly a ton going on, so much so that you could just fill your weekend before even setting foot in the venue. So just do yourself a favour, have a browse through the UKGE events page before you go. There's bound to be something that makes you go, that's for me, because to appreciate it properly, you do need a vague idea of what you want to see and do. I say this because once you know what days you're going, it's kind of a good idea to check if there are any talks, any events or competitions you really don't want to miss. The popular stuff can fill up fast. So if something catches your eye, just book it in early and plan the rest of your day around it. I didn't do this on the Friday, and I was kind of just chaotically just rampaging around like I was stuck in Jumanji. In the jungle, you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8, yada, yada, yada. And then I went home and I made myself a plan for Saturday, and I wasn't waiting until the dice, blah, 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 you know how it goes. It just made the whole weekend a lot smoother. There's honestly so much going on than just what's inside the halls. So for example, there's multiple options for ice cream outside, and I was not mad about that. And then right outside, there's a Viking village, like actual Vikings doing their thing, and it's definitely worth a look. Then there's Stamp Quest, which is like this little adventure to help you find cool indie RPG creators. It's super fun if you love discovering hidden gems that you wouldn't normally go and look at. And then new this year, they also introduced the Pin Badge Collective, which is basically like a bunch of the exhibitors. They bought their own special pins just for the expo. You could only get them at their stands during the weekend. It's kind of like a mini treasure hunt across the show, because you could tick them off as you collected them on the back of the map pack. There was also the Pin Collective Swap Zone, which was a go-to spot if you were up for trading pins. It was all set up in Hall 4, and it was open for trading the whole time that the hall was open. So after attending, what do I wish I had known? So, how do you approach this weekend and go home without wondering, why do my feet feel like they've been personally cursed by Sauron himself? Take good shoes. Now, I don't mean to sound like your mother, but if you are able to walk, then this is essential. If you are a wheelchair user, then just take good shoes because they look good. If you don't have any feet, then this does not apply to you. So if you're walking around the expo, then you're going to be on your feet a lot. The NEC, it's massive. It's like, did I just walk to Mordor, massive. The stroll from the car park alone feels like a mini side quest. So don't be a hero in your shoes that look good but are annoying. Bring proper, comfy, supportive footwear. We're nerds. We don't care what's on your feet. Your feet will love you. You'll have enough energy left to crush your enemies at the board game table, and then you can still consider selling those feet pics because your feet are not. That's not true. Well, anyway, no judgment. Food and drink. The NEC has loads of food options. It's not exactly budget friendly and it gets quite rammed at peak times. Like, queue longer than the Catan waiting list levels of busy. And my advice is just try and be smart. That's possible. Bring a decent sized water bottle. There are free refill stations dotted around. And trust me, you'll need it. It's hot, like really hot. It's busy and it's all too easy to forget that you haven't drank anything since breakfast. And then your head is screaming at you. Pack a sandwich or some snacks. Like, pretend you're going on a school trip and shove it all in your bag, which they don't even check your bag at security on the way in. Like, that was weird. But anyway, if you don't want to remortgage your house for a panini, do it. Fuel is important. You don't want to faint halfway through a game. Or at all, really. Then there's the shop and drop, which is like the best money you will spend all day. It was only like £3. It's the first stop of the day that you should make. For a princely sum of £3, you get your own cardboard box in a secure area, and as you pick up games, and you will pick up games, you drop them off here, and then you keep your arms free for more important things like rolling dice and eating sandwiches, or gesturing wildly during RPG discussions. Just make sure to pick everything up before the end of the day, or you'll be doing that sad, I forgot my haul walk of shame. This is a big one for me. Be kind and spatially aware. Yes, backpack wearers, I am looking at you. This one's a big one. UKGE is busy, really busy. At peak times, some bits feel like a polite but intense game of human Tetris. So if you're rocking a giant backpack, remember, when you spin, that thing becomes a medieval flail. I'm 5'2", and I was knocked for 6 multiple times. I saw children being taken out. Knees, unsuspecting congoers, including me, like I said, wiped out by rogue backpacks. Please be mindful of the space around you, especially for wheelchair users and hobbits like me. Everyone is just trying to enjoy themselves, so a little consideration, it goes a long way. Also, just general kindness. Say thank you. Hold the door. Help someone pick up their dice when they go rogue under a table. Be the reason someone else has a great day. Would I do it again? Without question. I am already counting down the days and considering whether I can write off comfy shoes as a business expense. UK Games Expo 2025. It was chaotic. It was magical. A little overwhelming at times, but most importantly, it was just pure nerd joy. Like Disneyland for dice goblins. And honestly, my soul has never felt so seen. But let's talk games, because let's face it, it's the main reason we subject ourselves to crowds, car parks, and questionably priced sandwiches, and it's for the love of games. And I played some absolute bangers. So here's my top 3, because I'm glad you asked. Fate of the Fellowship. The one that had me internally humming the Lord of the Rings soundtrack for hours, and then dramatically whispering, "For Frodo," every time I took a turn. This one's like a co-op game where you and your fellow players, you each take control of 2 characters from Tolkien's iconic lineup. Think Gandalf and Sam teaming up like a Middle-earth buddy co-op duo, one throwing fireballs and the other making sure everyone eats second breakfast. And your mission is to escort Frodo and the One Ring on the most anxiety-ridden gap year in fantasy history and try and get him to Mount Doom before he emotionally combusts. Or gets scooped up by a Nazgul. Yeah, like a haunted Uber. It's tense, cinematic, and surprisingly heartfelt. There are 24 different objectives, 14 world-shifting events, and 13 characters to play, meaning no 2 journeys are ever quite the same. 1 minute you're valiantly protecting Frodo in Rivendell, and the next you're legging it across the Dead Marshes, trying not to catch Sauron's glowing Google Earth Eye of Doom. Now, the game, it constantly makes you choose between what's smart and what's heroic, because it's Tolkien, and half the time the answer is both, but also pain. So, will you split the party and risk Merry being emotionally obliterated by a ringwraith, or stick together and pray Legolas's hair gives you some sort of luck bonus? Just don't even think it gets easier, because Frodo can lose hope. Like, there's an actual mechanic where if Frodo gets too emotionally wrecked, it's game over. You could be 1 turn away from victory and then suddenly realise you forgot to give him an encouraging pep talk back in Bree, and he's ruining everything all over again. The ring then wins and everything is, well, mush. Bonus points. There's also solo mode. So if you're feeling extra brave, or you just want to play dramatic soundtrack music and cry alone while Gollum creeps around in your imagination, you can take on the whole journey solo, basically turning your kitchen table into a full-on Peter Jackson set. And I bloody love it. Fate of the Fellowship, it wasn't just a game, it was like a full-on emotional commitment. You'll laugh, you'll panic, you'll argue over whether Aragon should go left or right in Moria, and you'll silently glare at the dice like they get personally betrayed by Gondor when the Westfold fell. Anyway, it will make you want to rewatch the entire extended editions again and again, and you are welcome. Next one, Mappa Mundi. This surprised me. It made me feel like a monk in a dusty scriptorium trying to chart the whole world while arguing with my fellow map makers over whether dragons go here or there. But what's better is that it can be played as a solo RPG. So yes, I did buy it, and yes, I intend to document my game for YouTube because it's honestly, it's great. Exploration and ecology RPG is how they pitch it. Think less stab the goblin and more have a meaningful conversation with a sentient moss patch about interspecies cooperation. That's the kind of vibe. In this game, you play as, I think it was a chronicler, not a battle-hardened hero with a flaming sword, but an everyday person trained by the Mappa Mundi Institute to explore, document, and then heal a world that's been through ecological meltdown. There's no swords, there's no HP bars, there's just curiosity, compassion, and a very solid understanding of moss. There's zero combat, which means no fights, no fireballs, no looting corpses. You don't let that all get to you, though. Don't let it fool you. It's intense. It's not because you're under attack, but because you're faced with questions like, how do we restore this ravaged forest without making it worse? Or should we be here at all? Basically, it's like someone took the exploration part of RPGs and said, let's actually explore and do it properly and do it well. You choose from 4 character licenses. I think it was Archivist, Diviner, Fixer, and then Guardian, each with their own vibe, tools, approach to saving the world, whether you're turning into the planet's energy, repairing forgotten tech, or decoding ancient maps while sipping ethically forged tea. You're part of a world that's asking you to listen before you act. It's deeply collaborative, rules light, and it's super narrative driven, and it's perfect if you like role-playing sessions to feel more like Studio Ghibli meets David Attenborough than a really intense Michael Bay Transformers film. Mappa Mundi doesn't let you build worlds. It dares you to reimagine them better than before. Now, Moonstone is my third one. Let me tell you about Moonstone. It's a game that's so full of whimsical nonsense and tactical wizardry. I'm convinced it was designed by a chaotic neutral D&D party on a super high after binge watching The Princess Bride and Labyrinth at the same time. Cats are jingling, so sorry. So it's set in a land called Torba, which feels like Middle-earth and Shrek's swamp had an enchanted baby raised on fairy tales and budget theatre. Moonstone is all about weird little creatures doing big dramatic things. Goblins, gnomes, fauns, fairies, trolls. It's like the magical cast of Discworld, Stardust and the Muppets got into like a turf war over shiny rocks that grow out of the ground under moonlight. Let's try and stop the cats jingling. And there's like this flatulent pug knight, because of course there is. Your goal is to snatch up the magical moonstones before they vanish, like Thanos just snapped his fingers. But you're not doing this with brute force and dice rolls. This is a game of cunning, bluffing, like, did that gnome just suplex a troll type chaos? Now, here's where it gets juicy. There's no dice, like I said. Instead, Moonstone uses 2 unique decks. One for magic and one for melee combat. And they are both built entirely around bluffing and outwitting your opponent. It's like Poker Night at the Fairy Tavern, but with more glitter and property damage. In melee, you pick attack and defense cards face down. Choose badly and your character gets whacked harder than Thor's hammer on a bad day. Choose well and your goblin might pirouette out of danger like they've been watching RuPaul's Drag Race, but like a battle edition. It's tense, it's hilarious, and it's way more tactical than it has any right to be for a game that also features a pirate who fakes his own death just to get the upper hand. Then there's the arcane deck. Now this was where the real, like, chaos started to happen. You draw cards to meet a spell requirement, but there's a plot twist because you're allowed, and often encouraged, to just totally lie. If you've got a rubbish hand, pretend it's the magical equivalent of the Infinity Gauntlet and watch your opponent panic harder than if Frodo lost the One Ring forever. Or maybe you're bluffing about bluffing? It's a beautiful mess of mind games like Inception, but with more pixie dust. And the lore. It's gloriously weird. There's a mysterious wizard tower, there's factions called the Commonwealth and Dominion, and shades lurking about like they've just come off a rejected Game of Thrones spin-off. One group, the Lesher Vault, they're out here collecting moonstones for arcane purposes, which definitely sounds like something Loki would say right before blowing up the moon. Honestly, the whole thing, it feels like if Monty Python, Ghibli and Critical Role teamed up to produce a war game that doesn't just want to be played, it wants to be performed. It's dramatic, it's hilarious, it's strategic. I need to take a breath. And it is occasionally flatulent. So, UKGE 2025 was a riot. My legs ache, my wallet is hollow, and I may or may not have named all the pins I collected, but I regret nothing. Whether you're there to shop, play, trade, or just bask in the glory of your fellow dice enthusiasts, there's genuinely something for everyone. So I will most likely 100% see you next year. I'll be the one with a backpack full of snacks, not taking anyone out, and at least 3 more games I definitely didn't need. But I will absolutely justify to myself buying those games on the walk back, the long walk back, the very long walk back to my car. So if you're still here, I'm only going to implore you one time to please do all those things you need to do to support my tiny channel, and I hope to see you in the next video.